In this video, we're going to discuss what routing is. We're also going to take a look to see when we would need to configure either dynamic or static routing. So first off, what is routing? So routing is used to get from one network to another. And when we look at this router over here, we can see that we have two physical interfaces. So each router interface is a separate network, and in order to get to devices that are attached to the other interface, we would need routing in place. Now the way that routing works is your router is going to look to the routing table for a destination network. Alright, so inside of here it will look to see if it will match one of the destination networks or match for the gateway of last resort. Alright, and then it's kind of like it's almost like routing by rumor, because then it's just going to say go over here or go over there to get towards the destination. Alright, so what I want to do next is I want to explore kind of like the defaults of how your Cisco router handles routing, and I also want to see when we need to configure either static or dynamic routing. So to do this, first thing we're going to add two PCs. We're going to cable these up. So the network on the left is going to be the one network, and the network on the right is going to be the two network. And what I mean by that is the ID within the network. So remember, your IP addresses have two portions. They have a routing portion, a network portion and a host portion. This right here is the network portion, and this right here is going to be the one network. And on the two network, we're just going to change that to a 2. So it's an unwritten rule to save the first usable host address for our gateway, and that's what we're going to do right here. So this is going to be the address that we're going to need to put on the router, and we're going to do that right now. So we saw the physical layout of the router. We saw it had two Ethernet ports, and if we go to the go-to command to view what interfaces are available, we can see them right here. So now to configure the one that's on the one network, that is G00, and we said that the IP address that was going to be on here was 192.168.1.1, and that is a /24 network. We'll turn the port on, and now we'll configure the other leg of this. So now going over here, let's configure the two network, 192.168.2.2, tab 192.168.2.1. Alright, so to configure this now, so I'm going to use command history here. So I'm just going to hit the up arrow key once, twice, 3 times, change this 1 to a 2. Alright, up arrow key here a few more times, turn the port on. Alright, so now by default, your Cisco router is going to populate in directly connected and to the routing table, and we can view that by issuing the show IP route once again. Alright, and we can see our directly connected networks here and also here. So notice that we can tell this by the codes that are listed up here, and you can also see the local address that's configured on each of the interfaces as well. Alright, now because this populates in directly connected, and also that this end station over here is connected to the router, we're going to be able to actually ping this. Alright, so to test this out, we'll just ping that address over there. So that's going to be 2.2. Alright, you're going to see that this is going to be successful. However, if we swap this PC out with an intermediary device such as a router, we're going to see that we would actually need either static or dynamic routing configured on here in order to reach it. Alright, so to test that out, we're going to highlight this, Control C, Control V, so we'll copy that over there, and then we'll delete this last leg of this over here, right? I'll go back into select mode, and now we'll add a router. Alright, so now I'm going to cable this up. So I'm using a crossover cable again to connect the alike devices, and I'm just going to configure the IP settings on here that would mirror what we had on the PC. So conf t interface G00 IP address, and that's 192.168.2.2/24. Turn the port on, and we're good. Okay, so now if we come over here, the furthest that we're going to be able to ping without static or dynamic routing in place is going to be here. So as you're building out your networks, this is where you're going to have to start putting it in. Okay, so to confirm this, we'll issue a ping, and we're going to ping. First, we'll ping that egress interface. We can see it's successful. I'll issue a Control C, up arrow key, and now if we try to ping this over here, we're going to see that we're not successful. All right, so this is when we would need static or dynamic routing. We would need a route entry that actually points this way, but we would also need one that points this way as well.